Away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show is on the radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. How do you do? Great to be with you one more time again. I am Rob Brown. Directly across the board from me is hashtag DadKicks, Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate, the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show, the pinnacle of professionalism, ladies and gentlemen, the great one, Lonzo, at the helm. What up, Zoe?
I wish Diesel would leave my camera alone. I know I don't physically own the camera, but he's not. I know he's not using it. So I mean,
my favorite rivalry
leave my camera alone.
My favorite rivalry is every day when Diesel comes in, it's man, I wish Lonzo would stop doing this and that, and then every day when Lonzo comes in, it's man, I wish Diesel would stop doing this and that. I feel like you guys are just on, like you just move one or two tiny things around at the end of every shift to aggravate each other at this point.
Well, here's the difference. That would be that this is my room because I'm the boss. That's why. So
the alpha and the omega.
So if he moves something, then we might have to put something down in writing. That's all. No, I don't. I mean, these are little things, but as I've said many times, the person who sits down at the board, it's their responsibility to take care of the board. Even if someone else messes up really bad, it's my responsibility to fix it. Doesn't mean I can't say something about it, though. And if you're not using it, why are you touching it? That's all I'm saying. Take that however you want.
I'm going to take it as,
hey,
see this?
If you're Diesel, all I can say to you is don't shoot the messenger. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Should I play some music? Pull it together, Rob.
Oh, okay. All right. Ha! Got this.
If it were a contest, I won.
You just won.
I did.
You just won. You know what? Let's jump right into it. Let's just go. I can't do better. Let's go. I can't do better. The lunch breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This is the scuttlebutt that you will need to know. And we start, ladies and gentlemen, with breaking news. And this is, I don't know if you want to get the sound, Alonzo. This is legitimately, actually, for real, genuine breaking news here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. So this morning, we learned that there was a massive collision in a training camp practice over in Wofford for the Carolina Panthers. Keith Kirkwood left Tuesday's practice in an ambulance after he took a massive hit from one of the defensive backs. And I do have to apologize here because I don't want to butcher a name, but I'm unfamiliar with him. JT, is it Ibe? IBE? He's apparently a former Gamecock. Anyway, he is a defensive back for the Carolina Panthers, and he apparently, after spending some time at Rice and 2 seasons at South Carolina, signed as an undrafted free agent with Carolina back in April. He has been cut from the team. So earlier this morning, my dude Matt Rule wasting precisely 0 time letting dude go. He took Keith Kirkwood out with a late hit on a defensive receiver. Rule immediately, along with a handful of other coaches, got into his face, pulled him over to the side, told him, get off the practice field, sent him to the locker room, and then Lonzo cut him less than an hour later, waived him completely from the Carolina Panthers. So one player down in an ambulance, one player now off the team because of what happened at camp this morning welcome to summertime football, y'all.
Wow, message sent. Should he have handled it another way?
I don't know how else you do it, right? It's training camp. Like, this is your own team. And I've seen the hit a couple of times. It's available slow motion on Twitter. You can go look at it. It's pretty clear it was an unnecessary squat. But here's the thing. If you're in a spot like that, Cat, if you're in a spot like that, dude, that's a tough spot to be in, Zoe, because you have got to stand out to make this team, right? This is going to be a defensive backfield that's got very little room for margin for these guys that are undrafted free agents that walked on. This dude is trying to stand out, is trying to make a mark for himself on this team, and he just cost himself his job doing it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a fine line between being dangerous and selling out and looking like you're doing everything you can to make a team. Yeah. And he made a mistake. Now,
that's a fact.
The chances are, what are the chances that he gets picked up by another team because of this, though?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, who's going to need one that? Who's going to need a DB that bad, man? Who's going to need a DB that bad? All right, let's get to it. Here are that was not a lunch breakdown item. Just wanted you guys to know that happened. Please don't shoot the messenger, okay? Please don't. Let me go to the lunch breakdown. We start with this item number one yesterday. The start of NBA free agency took place, and yeah, it got freaking busy, freaking quick. Here's a couple of updates. Just a few minutes before we came on the air, free agent forward Rudy Gay has signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Jazz, according to his agent, via Adrian Wojnarowski. The biggest day of the year for the Woj Bombs, ladies and gentlemen. They will be flying freely today. Sam Decker returning to the NBA on a deal with the Toronto Raptors. Decker last played in the NBA for the Washington Wizards in 2018 before spending a couple of seasons abroad. Free agent guard Spencer Dinwiddie is nearing a deal with the Wiz as well, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Dinwiddie played 3 games last season for the Nets before tearing the ACL in his right knee. He's been let go. Some other big names that have been moving around. Atlanta Hawks all-star guard Trae Young has agreed to a 5-year, $207 million contract. That is the designated rookie maximum, according to his agent. Denver Nuggets have reached a 2-year, $17 million agreement to keep JaMychal Green on the team. The LA Lakers have signed Kent Bazemore to a 1-year contract, according to Dave McMenamin from ESPN. He is the 4th Lakers signing who previously played for the team. Dwight Howard is now back with the Lakers. Trevor Ariza now back with the Lakers. Wayne Ellington, all back. The Lakers went from one of the youngest teams in the league, Lonzo, to one of the oldest teams in the league in literally 3 days. Like literally 3 days, they flipped it over.
I don't know. Is this a good move or bad? We're going to find out.
Yeah.
All I can say, I heard that earlier. It's like, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Has this ever worked? Becoming the oldest team. I don't know if it's ever worked.
Don't know. It's a big risk, man. It's absolutely a big risk. 6-time All-Star Blake Griffin signed a 1-year deal to remain with the Brooklyn Nets. Norman Powell, 5-year, $90 million deal to stick with the Blazers. Here is a Charlotte Hornets involved move. The Pelicans are adding Charlotte Hornets restricted free agent guard Devontae Graham on a 4-year, $47 million contract in a side and trade deal, according to Woj. New Orleans will send Charlotte its 2022 lottery protected first-round pick, according to a source, in order to make that happen. So the Hornets signed Graham, then sent him to the Pels. The Pels send back their 2022 first-round pick, unless that pick is a lottery pick, in which case it stays with New Orleans, and they will get a supplemental pick elsewhere. Bobby Portis stays with the Milwaukee Bucks, 2-year, $9 million deal. Cody Zeller, formerly of the Hornets, has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Trailblazers. Alex Caruso, speaking of old guys at the Lakers, free agent guard Alex Caruso, 4-year, $37 million deal with the Chicago Bulls, where he will join former New Orleans Pelicans guard Lonzo Ball, who has been moved to the Bulls in return for some moves as well.
I hate seeing Caruso go. He's one of my favorite players on the Lakers.
Right?
But the other thing about it, it's just another guy who's worked with LeBron and gets a big payday. We'll find out if it was worth it or not.
Caruso is a different. I mean, the dude just is a bulldog, right? Just a bulldog.
I think people. He's one of those guys, and I'm guessing people in the court did the same thing, that judge him by his appearance and think, yeah, this guy's not. And dude just gets out there. When he's off, he's off. But when he's on, he's amazing, and he always puts forth 100% effort.
Oh, he never quits. Dude never lets up. You ain't wrong. So Alex Caruso now with the Bulls. So is Lonzo Ball. Nick Batum with the Clippers returns for a 2-year deal. Derrick Rose, a 3-year, $43 million deal to return to the Knicks. Free agent Evan Fournier coming out of Orlando. He is now with the Knicks as well. A 4-year deal that could be worth as much as $78 million. Free agent forward Solomon Hill, a 1-year deal to return to the Hawks. Dwight Howard, as we mentioned earlier, his third tour back with the Lakers. Trevor Ariza back with the Lakers as well. Free agent Zach Collins, a 3-year, $22 million deal with the Spurs. Gary Trent Jr. back to the Raptors. Boban Marjanovic has a new deal with Dallas. That'll give him 3 seasons with the Mavs. Looking for some of the other big names. Jeff Green, 2-year, $10 million deal with the Nuggets. And Phoenix Suns all-star guard Chris Paul opted out of his $44 million player option, but has agreed to stay on with the Suns with a new 4-year deal worth up to $120 million. That deal will end when CP3 is 40 years old. Duncan Robinson, 5-year, $90 million contract to stay with the Heat. Kyle Lowry, headed to South Beach as well, a sign and trade with the Raptors. He is headed down to South Beach. Jimmy Butler working on a new extension that could be worth up to $184 million over 4 years with the Heat. We'll do some more free agent stuff later because I don't want to spend this entire segment just reading through the free agency list. We'll do some team breakdowns and more. Item number 2, we do stick with basketball, though. Team USA has overcome a sluggish start against Spain and are on to the semifinals. For the 3rd straight Summer Olympics, Kevin Durant is doing his best to try to make the case as the most important Team USA Olympics basketball player. Durant has been a powerhouse as he has overwhelmed the challenges that are put forward by playing in the international style of game, which is not easy for a lot of guys. Durant scored 29 points, 13 of those coming in the game-changing third quarter to help his team overcome yet another sluggish start. And Carmelo Anthony was the leading scorer in men's Olympic basketball. Durant has now passed him, is working on becoming only the 2nd American male to win 3 Olympic gold medals, joining Carmelo Anthony. They knocked off Spain in a comeback from behind victory, a masterful performance from Ricky Rubio. 38 points on 13 of 20, shooting the most points ever against Team USA in the Olympics or any other major event. It broke Dirk Nowitzki's mark of 34 for Germany against the U.S. in the O2 World Championship. The Spanish were absolutely pounding the paint, which is pretty much the way the international game works against the Americans now. But Team USA, led by a more aggressive defense in the second half, finished the first half on a 14-4 run, opened the second half 15-4 behind Durant to create a little separation. Jason Tatum, who has been moved to kind of a scorer off the bench role, 13 points, had several key baskets in the fourth to keep the lead from ever breaking down. It is a good win. It was a good win last night, and Team USA now on to the semis. They are building momentum, Lonzo. I'm not ready to say that they are definitely favorites to win the gold because there are still some good teams. Luka Doncic with Slovenia. We know France has already beat the Americans. Patty Mills and the Aussies knocked off the Americans in an exhibition match before we went to Tokyo. There are 3 teams standing right now that have already had success against Team USA literally this year. We are far from gold favorites, Lonzo, but We seem to be building momentum at the exact right time.
We've got to hitch our wagon, so to speak, to Kevin Durant and hope that he continues to do what he's been doing. And I think he will. I do. I think they're on track. I think we're fine.
What a sentence to say, huh? We got to hitch our
wagons
to KD.
I have never said hitch my wagon to anyone on the air today. So I'm just, I'm trying to extend the vocabulary and the sayings and things like that and work on that. I'm working on that.
All right. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN is the number to be a part of the program. Text us at 71307, 71307. That's the Ingles Market text line. And it's open right now. When we come back, we have to address what went down yesterday with one particular viral tweet originating from the station.
Contractually obligated to do so.
I feel like we are. So we respond to the reports, rumor, conversation of one Mark Ryan when we come back. Rob Lonzo, it's ESPN Upstate. Oh, wow.
Here, let me get my email up.
Wow.
I didn't know he was going to say that in that promo, and that just this is I already had that set up to play, and it's like, yeah, why not? You know what? It makes it sound like that's a part of the promo, like they did it on purpose, which kind of saves me. That means Mark is saying, "Oh, that's pretty funny." But there again, my entire explanation was just on Facebook Live. So if he was,
I had you cut until that moment.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're safe.
All right. If you say so, I don't care.
I
don't think so. I don't care.
I was gonna say, but also
we, as the people are watching, should know, like to have fun.
now we've got other folks on other talk shows. We are hearing from a very good source that the Big 12 and Pac-12 will merge. So he's a trendsetter.
Enjoy the taste of summer too, with amazing hand-tossed fries, cool, crisp salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Hello Mushroom, on Augusta Street in Greenville's West End.
Breaking news sounder. So we are going to get around to that thing we said we were going to talk, but we do have breaking news for you here on the show. Breaking news brought to you by radio.odyssey.com, audacy.com. Grab it for all of your sports talk, news, pop culture, yada, yada, yada. If it's happening and you want to know about it, it's on odyssey.com. Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby scheduled to meet with new Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff today, according to The Athletic. Their meeting is expected to be a key first step in talks about whether the two conferences would benefit from strategically working together during college sports' new phase of realignment. Kliavkoff has not made comment. Bowlesby and the Big 12 declined comment to The Athletic. Discussions on a pact between the two could go in several different directions. One option would be not a alignment or realignment or convergence, but instead a scheduling alliance, they called it, between the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Bowlesby acknowledged this possibility on Monday during his appearance at a Texas Senate committee meeting on the future of college sports in Texas. Pursuing a merger with another conference is another possibility. Bowlesby said, quote, I think there are options for us to partner with other conferences. There may be opportunity for mergers. There may be opportunities to add members. There may be other opportunities that are currently unseen. One other possible solution Bowlesby floated while testifying on Monday would be the Big 12 working with another conference to aggregate their negotiating rights for a new television deal. So, that being said, apparently the heads of the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are getting together today to discuss something. Something. They're going to discuss a thing together as one, but not as one, but as two, but as one. The point is nobody knows.
Our sources tell us that what's going to happen is they're going to discuss a merger.
We If you're counting number of times you're going to break me today, that's two. We don't know. We don't know. Bob Bowlesby has effectively said we're going to talk with the Big 12, or excuse me, with the Pac-12 and see what happens. Now, Here is a random idea that popped into my head when I was reading that breaking news during the break.
So it wasn't. It's not a date. We're just going to the same place and we're hanging out.
No,
That's
I mean,
all.
it's
not. It's not. We're not really dating. We're just.
we're talking.
Yeah.
That's what
yeah.
the kids say.
We
We're
just. I
talking.
found out they were going there and I'm going there, so we're just kind of going together.
Yeah, I mean, we're
tandem. Yeah.
We're
it's-
interested in each other, but it's not like we're committed. You know,
Right,
it's not like a serious thing.
Because there are others out there.
Yeah, we don't really know each other, but we're gonna get together, have a drink, maybe hang out, and chat for a few minutes, and I mean, maybe
things may
after,
click.
Yeah,
You never know.
who knows? There might be some chemistry. There might be something there, but there might not be. We might get together and we might have a couple of drinks and she might go, I'm a vegan. It's not going to work for me. It's not that I disrespect that. It's just that I eat too much meat. We're never going to click. Or we might get together and
Just Pac-12. That's the that's the vegans for sure.
yeah. Or she might say, well, he's really cute and I was going to get with him, but I got, and then I realized he drinks seltzer instead of beer. Like, I don't know about all that, man. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. That might not do it for me. But they also might get together and decide that they both drink seltzer. Or
A lot in common.
yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. And they might get together. Who knows? But they're not committed. They're just gonna have a drink. So the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are gonna get together and they're just gonna have a drink and they're gonna chat, they're gonna talk and see if there's any chemistry, Just see if there's anything there. You ready for the first thought I had? Here's the thought. So the SEC is now at 16 teams with Oklahoma and Texas in, right? Now, whether it's 2025 or 2022, we don't know.
Yeah, because we've heard that they're talking to some other teams. We've heard that.
I mean,
You know.
sources are saying.
Yeah.
So here's the first thought I had. If I'm the Big 12, because remember, we talked about this the other day. The Big 12 only survives if all 8 teams in it stay together and mandate that Texas and Oklahoma ride out their TV rights deal through the end of 2025, build up a little money, blah, 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 blah. Here's my proposal if I am Bob Bowlesby. I'm calling all 8, and I'm going, you got to trust me, but I got something working here. And I'm calling the Pac-12, and I'm calling the Big 10, and I'm saying, guys, here's the deal. This is what I think we should do. I'm not saying we realign. I'm not saying that we absorb each other here. But what if we work together on a TV rights contract, on a TV rights deal that schedules everybody's best against everybody else's best, and we put together a week-by-week schedule that's just the best we got versus the best we got every single week, right? Match the competition top to bottom, and we go and act as if we are a 3-team super conference, but don't actually join together, right? Because the conferences have the right to invoke some level of scheduling within the schools. So let's go act as if we're, and the problem is maybe Texas and Oklahoma don't buy into this, but that's okay. As long as they stay in a collective Big 12, it doesn't matter. So if I'm the Big 12, if I'm the Pac-12, and heck, maybe, because the Big 10 at some point is going to feel the pressure too down the road, the Big 10, I might come together and come up with a little super conference that's not a super conference deal that puts a bunch of money together to A, bring in more, and B, force Texas and Oklahoma to stick around. I wouldn't be shocked if that is what this meeting between Bob Bowlesby and George Kliavkoff is all about. Would we be willing to come up with a scheduling arrangement where we keep our conferences together? You stay the Pac-12, we stay the Big 12, but we effectively work together in order to put out a better product than just our in-conference discussion, just our in-conference schedule, so that we can bring in more money and see what happens, man. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN is the number. Text us on the Ingles Market text line. It's 71307, 71307. Want your thoughts? Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a moment. We can address that further. And obviously the fallout from Mark Ryan's report yesterday. We'll address that now officially, unless some more crazy news breaks during the break. When we come back on the Rob Brown Show, it's ESPN Upstate. Oh, man.
I have no idea what happened there.
That was weird. Just this weird sound started playing. Did he just say he's a cop and he's dropped 51 pounds in 3 months? That's impressive.
Guys, are you frustrated because no matter how hard you try, it seems impossible to lose stubborn belly fat? Then discover why thousands of men each month rely on Andro 400. Lose belly fat, gain energy and confidence, and feel great about yourself. Andro 400, the safe, effective, and inexpensive way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. Hey, it's Bill Donovan from Breakaway Honda. Right now, we're having the great big Breakaway Honda SUV sale. We have brand new Honda SUVs with financing as low as 0%. Plus, Breakaway has the largest selection of new and used Hondas in the upstate. Easy financing, more for your trade-in, always a low-stress experience. Number one for a lot of reasons.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-bo.
Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me at Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday will be at 410 Pelzer Highway in Easley. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate. Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds,
A Prisma in the next break.
Prisma. Little bit porky.
Dollars of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes or overweight or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think insurance to buy $1 million of affordable term life for you. All you need to do is call Big Lou at 800.
That's a good meme, Lonzo. The kids know how to meme.
Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-568-2790. 800-568-2790.
Someone just posted Sam Darnold reporting for his first padded practice, and he's like out there all by himself walking onto the field. It's like,
Dude, the other day, he was like, most of the day, he was just by himself. Like, not even with the quarterback group, was just kind of standing off on his own.
it's focus. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna judge it until I see what happens on game day. But it didn't look like there was much chemistry.
CBC breaking news, another key injury for the Colts. Three-time All-Pro guard Quentin Nelson underwent foot surgery today. He could miss 5 to 12 weeks. This news a day after Indy quarterback Carson Wentz had foot surgery. He'll also miss 5 to 12 weeks. Jacob Eason taking first-team reps at practice while Wentz is out. Simone Biles added another medal to her collection action. She took bronze on the balance beam today, her 7th career Olympic medal, tying Shannon Miller for the most by an American gymnast. Biles making her return today after removing herself from several competitions for her mental health. 19-year-old Athing Mu, in her first Olympics, won the 800-meter gold medal for the U.S., first time since the 1968 Games in Mexico City. An American woman has won the 800. The U.S. women's national team won't have goalkeeper Alyssa Nair for the bronze medal match versus Australia. She's out with an injured right knee.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday.
All right, so we just got to address it. Yesterday, our colleague, our brother in arms, our comrade broke the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, he broke the internet when he sent out a tweet that said, quote, per a reliable source, Clemson and Florida State have reached out to the SEC about joining the conference. The SEC is concerned that streaming numbers for Clemson and Florida State don't bring what Oklahoma and Texas do. Notre Dame is the only free agent left that would add to the pot. At last count, Mark Ryan had received 463 retweets, 823 quotes, and 1,258 likes of that comment. To the point that in getting ready for today's show, as I'm jumping from social media page or sports page to sports page, collecting the news that I had not gotten a chance to discuss yet, there are national sites that have written articles based on Mark Ryan's tweet. All right, that Mark Ryan's tweet is their source for writing an article about FSU and Clemson contacting the SEC. Here's what I'm going to say about it. I have not heard that. All right. Now, I will acknowledge that I am, by way of just not having been here as long, not as connected to the sports scene here in the upstate as Mark is, though I'm working on it. I've not heard that. Therefore, I've had no reason to report it. This is not I don't believe Mark. This is, I have not heard it from anywhere that I consider a reputable source. This isn't Mark is wrong. I don't know. I, like you, am skeptical of the claim, to be honest. Being skeptical of something is not the same as saying, I don't believe you. Those are, you can be skeptical of someone's claim and not say they're lying. I'm not saying Mark is lying or that. I'm not even saying I don't believe Mark. I'm saying I haven't heard this coming from anywhere that makes it something I'm willing to say or share. To me, it simply comes down to this story would be enormous if true. It'd be huge if it was true. It'd be an enormous development if it turned out to be true.
All right, I'm going to do something that's going to completely shock everybody out there. I'm going to defend my friend Mark Ryan. And here's why I'm going to defend my friend Mark Ryan. I'm sure he heard from a source and he put it out there, but he's proved something that I have told him since he made it here to South Carolina, that Clemson fans are overly sensitive to the point that they are blowing this thing up because they are so offended that there's the possibility that someone, the SEC, does not want their team. And so Mark Ryan has just finally come to the realization, and he's exposed what I've told him all the time, that Clemson fans are overly sensitive and they're making this a bigger deal than what it is. And Mark says he heard from a source. I'm sure he heard from a source. And if it comes out to be true, what does it mean? So are they going to come out and say, yeah, they reached out to us, but they're not good enough, so we just, shot it down? They're not going to say that. They're absolutely not going to say that. But Mark, once again, he's proven me right. Clemson fans, overly sensitive and you're blowing this up. You're coming at him, but the problem is not with Mark Ryan. The problem is with you.
Look, like I said, I'm skeptical of the claim, okay? And that's the way I address most things that most people say to me. I am skeptical of the claim until there's evidence on board. Do I believe somebody told Mark Ryan that this phone call took place? Yes. I also know yesterday that Clemson directly addressed the rumors that they called the SEC and straight up denied it. Straight up denied it.
But why should they? Why should they? Because why does it matter? It doesn't matter. Why do you have to come out and deny it? Because if you come out and deny it, that means you're worried that people will think it's true. What do you care? You've won a couple of national championships. Why do you need to be in the SEC? I don't. There's a lot of sensitivity going on all around here, and none of it makes sense. It's not necessary.
This is a college football earth-shattering news story if it's true, right? It just is.
But why is it? Why is it?
Because if Florida State and Clemson were to jump to the SEC, there's nobody left outside of the Pac-12. There's nobody left to defend.
We've been speculating on that since Oklahoma, Texas, that there are going to be super conferences, and that's going to happen.
But this is maybe the nail in the coffin if it's true. If Florida State and Clemson leave the ACC, there's nobody left in that conference. There's nobody left in the Big 12. The only schools you have left would be Notre Dame as an independent and a couple of Pac-12 schools, USC, UCLA, Oregon, ? This would be the two of the last giant dominoes to fall. It would be the nail in the coffin of something we all suspect already is going to happen. I don't think that this is a being sensitive issue. I think this is you're waiting for the signal that there's a bunch of us dancing around with signs that say the end is near, but we're all waiting for the asteroid to hit. This would be that.
The fact that Clemson has addressed it, that's a problem. Because what you do with something like this, you blow it off, you laugh it off. It's just a local host saying that. But no, them addressing it means there might be some validity to it. So what they've done is they've shown that there might possibly have been a chance that they did this. If they don't address it, then you blow it off like someone else talking, and it's not that big of a deal. But now they're giving some credence to the possibility that they might actually have done that.
See, I think that is every political show on television ever has dealt with this issue, right? The guy, the up-and-comer that's trying to take out the guy that is in the chair starts an insane rumor. This guy does this. He whatever. He's this guy, he does that, he hangs out at this seedy place, whatever. And they always have the advisor that goes to the big guy in the chair and says, "Sir, if you deny this, you will give it credibility that it doesn't have already." And I believe, Lonzo, that before social media took off, that's the correct way to handle it. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what side of the debate you fall on, in the age of social media, if you can put even the faintest whiff, just a breath of legitimacy to a claim, these claims grow legs on their own. You don't have to give it any viability anymore. Just a puff of legitimacy, and these things grow to exponential levels on social media. Did Clemson do them? Clemson direct, for the record, I want to point out what happened here. Mark Ryan said a thing on Twitter that a source told him that Clemson and Florida State have reached out to the SEC. I would like to point out, Clemson's spokesperson released a statement, quote, "There is no truth to the report that Clemson University has been in contact with the Southeastern Conference regarding membership." So that we're clear, and I don't want to mince words, and I don't think Mark Ryan will want us to, Clemson's calling Mark Ryan a liar here. Or, I should say, calling his source a liar.
And that's what I'm talking about. Why would they give this any credence at all unless there's an ounce of truth to it? Unless they're worried that, someone found out what we did and now they're throwing it out there. And I'm not calling them a liar either. What it comes down to is Mark has a source. The source told him something. He reported it to the point that Clemson's actually responding to it. What are they worried about? Why should they have responded? There is no reason why they should have responded, and that makes them look guilty. That's all I'm saying.
If somebody went on Twitter and said something, Lonzo, about you that was not just untrue, but something that, if it was true, would completely change how everybody in your circle looked at you. Where is the line where you go, screw that, I have to correct it? If somebody said 2 Wednesdays ago at a particular bar downtown, I saw Lonzo having a drink with Rob Brown. He was clearly drinking. Is there a point where you, as Lonzo, the on-air personality, would retweet it and go, this is BS and untrue? Or do you just let it fester because giving it any sort of response gives it credibility?
Well, anyone who truly knows me knows it's not true.
Correct.
So there's no sense of pointing it out. My response would be, that guy we met at the Spartanburgers game, that was him.
That dude looked just like you.
Yeah, that was
He
him.
really did.
It was not me.
Oh, he really did. Here's the thing. You have the advantage of saying anybody who knows me knows that it's not true. And that's fair. I think at this point, we kind of, let me phrase that. If you're not a Clemson fan, you don't take Clemson at their word, just like I don't take any college at their word right now.
Right. Just like when a coach says, I have no interest in that job, and then they're working at that job the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet you Texas and Oklahoma, if you'd asked them 3 weeks ago, any chance, any truth? Any truth to the rumors out there that you guys are considering leaving the Big 12? They'd have been like, hell no, we are Big 12 through and through, baby. Woo, Bumper Sooner, go Horns.
I will say, if a source told me that Clemson and Florida State were going to talk to SEC, I would laugh in their face. Because why would Clemson go anywhere? They're a king where they are.
Texas go anywhere? They're a king where they are.
No, they're not.
All right, you're right. Why would Oklahoma go anywhere?
Oklahoma,
they're a king where they are.
Oklahoma, that's a good point. But Texas,
Sure. Florida State, that's the same exact comparison.
Would Clemson make
kings?
more money if they went to the SEC?
Yes.
Would they?
Yes. The SEC pot is bigger than every other pot right now.
But they would also go to a place where it's a lot more difficult to make where they've been able to go the last 3 or 4 years. So it doesn't make sense from that standpoint.
Correct. But does anybody care? Oklahoma just proved that money is more important than positioning to win championships. They just proved it.
Or they proved that they know they can never win a championship, so they might as well go get money.
I don't think that's the case, though. I don't think that's the case. All right, we got to take a break. We're way off. Let's get back. We'll get back to this on the flip side.
We're way off. Yes, we are.
Story of my life. All right, we'll talk more about it when we come back. By the way, not our story. Don't shoot the messenger. We're just trying to talk about it. Quick break. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Yep. Our friends at Prisma Health, speaking of Clemson, are the official healthcare providers for the Clemson Tigers, but not just Clemson. They're also the official healthcare provider for the Gamecocks of South Carolina, currently in the SEC, for the record. And they want to be the official healthcare provider for you and your family as well. And
Do you know you can't headhunt, especially your own teammate?
Yes, that is correct.
I don't know if you knew that. What I would say is that last segment was masterfully done. That's what I would say. Masterfully done.
Masterfully.
I appreciate you correcting my lack of enunciation. I'm working on that.
What? Oh, when I said masterfully?
It's like, what did you say?
Masterfully.
It's like what?
Dude,
Succinct. You know, to the
repeat
point.
I repeat the last word of many sentences said to me. I can't.
Gamoo.
Gabagool.
Let me introduce you to my associates, Dirty Ezio, Filthy Luca. Hey, look at that. Hour one's over.
Just like
That thing just flew by.
Just like that.
Hey, Rob, did you know that it's football season? I don't know if you knew that or not.
Sunday.
It's football season. 2 days away from the NFL.
Phone lines open, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307, on the Ingles Market text line. Texter says, I could care less if Clemson joins the SEC, especially if they go in the SEC East. Look, man, I don't know. Clemson says there is no truth to what Mark Ryan said yesterday. Mark Ryan says he stands by his source. He went on to send out a few more tweets that said, look, I'm not a reporter. I would advise my friend respectfully, you kind of are in this situation, man. You kind of are. This story, if true, would be an enormous story. And considering we've seen it nowhere else, you are the one breaking it here. He said, a conversation I had with an inside source is what I've shared. I don't report anything. Nowhere have I said Clemson is lying. Colleagues at 2 national 3-letter networks have reached out saying they have the same info. Okay. It's very simple. Mark, if he is protecting sources, is not going to bring him out there. And I will tell you, as somebody who's been in journalism for a long time, you don't burn sources. If he gives up his source on this, he loses the source. I get that. On the flip side, Clemson's calling him a liar. Straight up calling him a liar now. Or his sources. Calling his sources a liar. I'll tell you right now, if somebody puts in a FOIA request to Clemson for all their records and could prove that Clemson was lying here, they'd have a massive story. Quick break. We'll pick this up on the flip side. Rob Lonzo, it's ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics in the first break. You know what? I've changed my mind. I'm amending the rules.
You're what?
I'm amending the rules. Playing of soundbite counts as saying
Well,
it.
I don't have that option.
Well, you do actually. I can send you the files and you can put it on the Stinger and I can just turn it up and you can play it whenever you want. You wasn't aware that you had the option or you had forgotten. So
I really do. I need to come in here one day and just feel like, because I have a folder I've been keeping of goat clips.
you should.
I'm gonna come in here and play with the Stinger one day. Where is it? VX producer is not it. No, that is it. Nope, that's our phone line.
I mean, I'm willing to walk around there and show it to you if it's talking about the Stinger, nothing else, of course.
VLC media player? That's not it. Or is it just not on the desktop and I'm an idiot?
I don't think it's on the desktop.
Has been nothing short of impressive just in my short time here in the upstate. I'm glad to be able to chat with you guys and be a part of it. So congratulations to you as well, Chris. Thanks very much, Rob. We appreciate it.
Those are all files that I put on there.
Right. Is it called Stinger?
The championship evening really locked things up for me. Celebrities like Rob Brown to do things like that, then I'm in. Well, I mean, I'll print that on a T-shirt and wear it around so everybody believes you. Thank you very much. I'm gonna accept that very sarcastic accolade as 100% true. Thank you. If it's on a T-shirt or the internet, it's gotta be true. It's gotta be true.
You don't see it. It doesn't mean it's not on there.
Right.
I mean, Xbox console. I mean,
I remember seeing it.
yeah. Well, it's a licensing thing, and who knows? Maybe we no longer have license. I could reach out to engineering about it, or I'll just ask them later.
Our Nubidodos is on the radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Alonzo, EU. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the phone number. You can text us at 71307. 71307 on the Ingalls Market text line. Shoot your text there. We will read them on the air. Shooters shoot, baby. 844-GSP-ESPN. You can tweet us, by the way, at the Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on word, and at ESPN Upstate on the Twitter devices. Go to our website at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate as well. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. If you want to chat, we'd love to have you on that as well. All the different ways for you to get in touch with the broadcast today. So we have been reacting to what happened yesterday on Offsides with Mark Ryan, and I do consider this cross promotion.
Yeah,
Backstage secret?
yeah. Listen to that show for men.
Yeah.
I mean, do that.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to get.
You don't.
So here's the thing. This is just because somebody asked me during the break on my text, not the station text, on my phone line, how it is
So
that
one of your sources reached out to you
Yes.
and asked you a question.
yes,
Okay.
sources reached out.
Okay.
Here's how this works. Mark's show and my show are different entities. We talk both as friends and colleagues, but we don't really get into how we should do our shows, right? Like, I don't tell Mark, unless I have something that I go, Mark, look, here's the deal. I have a big breaking story, or here's some analysis I think you might want. We talk. Well, we don't tell each other how to run each other's shows, and we don't really have, like, Mark doesn't give me prep, and I don't give Mark prep. However, we both do work for and push ESPN Upstate as a whole. We want the station to grow. It's good for us when we both get noticed. Now, as far as what Mark said, that he has a source that tells him that Clemson and Florida State reached out to the SEC about joining. As we mentioned earlier in the show, Clemson has denied that straight up. They put out a statement yesterday saying it is straight up not true that is the case. I am skeptical of the claim, okay? I am skeptical of the claim. I have not heard that from anywhere else. Now, is there a possibility?
But at the same time, just because you haven't heard it anywhere else doesn't mean it's not true.
Untrue.
Because someone has to report it first before other people do.
Sure. Just because I haven't heard it elsewhere does not mean that it is untrue. I am skeptical of the claim, okay? I am skeptical of the claim. I have not heard. Mark says he's got other people in the national viewpoint that have reached out and said they had the same information. I am skeptical of the claim. I have not heard nor seen any evidence outside of Mark's tweet that says there is validity to his claim. Again, that doesn't make it false. It means I don't yet believe it as true.
And, you know, it pains me to defend Mark Ryan in any way.
You're doing a great job.
And I'm doing it again because as someone who was a producer on the show, and, you know, I was here when he was brought in and we worked on that show and put it together and everything. I know how well connected Mark Ryan is as someone who has, you know, got the guests on the phone and guests, you know, who always say, thank you for being my friend to Mark Ryan.
Thank you for being a friend.
I want to thank you. Anyway, so I know that he is very well connected. And these people that he's had on the show are prominent people of media or in sports organizations all over the country. So he has a reputation. Some may say it's a bad reputation, some a good reputation, but he has connections. He absolutely has connections. I've witnessed that for myself. So if he says he has sources, he's probably got sources.
Travel down the road, back again.
I got to add that to my Spotify later.
Heart is true. You're a friend and a confidant.
This really comes down to you're proving you know the lyrics. That's all it is. That's all it is.
I just love that song. That's a great song.
That is so inside.
Golden Girls for the win. Still one of the best shows ever made. I stand by that.
That's the only reason why you know all the lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the only reason anybody knows all the lyrics is because of
by the way,
Betty White.
Well, I'm older and I knew the song before it became the theme song. So, you know.
That's fine. Not why I do. Look. So, wait, you don't mean you mean you don't suggest to Mark he runs wrestling on a show? No, I absolutely do suggest they talk wrestling on their show, but the proof is they don't do that. Look, let me God, I don't want to go down this road, so I won't spend a time of talk. You can be skeptical of a claim and not accept it as truth, but not say that it is false, all right? I am skeptical of Mark's claim. As my own person, my own analyst, my own journalist, I guess. I am skeptical of Mark's claim. I do not accept it as true.
But
I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't accept it as true yet.
As someone who used to work in a news department, talking about you, and someone who understands the importance of sources, I am surprised that you wouldn't be on the other side. And I've if you've listened to me at any point in my career here, you know I don't believe in sources. I just don't. But I am taking Mark's side because I know he knows a lot of people. And a lot of times it comes down to when you say sources, people are skeptical because you're not naming those sources. But you pointed out early on when we were discussing this in the last hour, if you divulge your source, it's no longer a source.
So I did if you apologize me dumping on myself here, I did real news for 4 years. 2 on TV, 2 on radio.
For those of you not on the stream, he did do
Air quoted that hard.
He air quoted
Hard, like pulled a muscle, air
to
quoted.
the point where he had to intake breath.
I really got to hit the gym. I did real news for 4 years. 2 on TV, 2 on radio. Okay. Here's how the premise of sources work, because that's really what's getting a lot of the scrutiny around this. Is the premise of sources. Wow, I gotta leave the hat on. That doesn't look good, does it? Damn stream.
The headphones would flatten it out.
No, it's too flat. I got no volume.
Body.
You know what I mean?
Oh no, I don't.
Volume.
No, I don't. I don't have that problem.
I gotta finish this. All right, I gotta finish this. This is important to me. So, the premise of sources. If I am going to report a story from the premise of sources, what that means in a news world, in a journalism situation, is that I have somebody that I rely on, trust, that is more connected and contacted to the foundation of what it is that I'm talking about than anybody else. And this person has given me information that I have either verified as true or can't verify as true, but absolutely trust the person delivering it to me to have a background on it. And there are a lot of times when I have or would report information as coming from sources that you are, in this case, kind of staking your reputation to, right? You're kind of staking your reputation, because if that information, and I would say, I don't think I'm going to get any trouble for this, so I could be wrong. I would say in a case like this story going out with Mark Ryan, to some degree, he is staking himself on this. To some degree, he is staking himself on this. And that is why Clemson coming out and directly denying what Mark is saying as false is important to this story. Because there is some element of reputation that is staked on when you claim sources say. If I come out and say sources say that ESPN Upstate is, I don't know, picking up a new station in Charlotte. We're syndicating to Charlotte. And that's reported as sources. That means you have somebody in either Charlotte or ESPN Upstate that's feeding you this information that cannot be named at this time for whatever reasons. How many times in an article do we read under condition of anonymity, right?
Which we are not, but we're open.
We're open to it.
Yeah.
If anybody in Charlotte knows anybody.
We're down if you're down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of, I have sources that tell me there's a good chance that we'll have some really good inside connections with Charlotte FC. Sources say. Just saying. But when you connect to sources, now I will say there are times when people utilize sources as a way to give an opinion as fact. I've seen it happen. I am not saying that is what happens. That's what's happening here. This story is interesting because all it takes is for there to have been some connection between anyone at Clemson and anyone at the SEC for this story to be true by definition. I don't know if it is or not. I don't accept it as true yet. That is not to say Mark Ryan is wrong. I'm saying I want more verification before I accept it as correct, as a true story. If it is true, it has college football world shaking implications. If Clemson or Florida State has indeed reached out to the SEC, it would effectively verify the beginning of the end of conferences as we know them. Right now, there is still the chance that we could get through the next 5 years and the conferences as we know them stay intact.
Here's the reason why this is getting so much play is because it's definitely a possibility. If it was out of the realm of possibility, then Clemson would have done what I said and just, brushed it off like it was nothing. But the fact that Texas and Oklahoma jumped and we're talking about, and everyone's talking about super conferences, means it's in everyone's head, and everyone's waiting to see who's going to be the next one to do it to get to get us to 3 super conferences.
Yep. If you would have asked, I bet if you would have asked Texas and Oklahoma 3 weeks ago, hey, there's rumors you've been in contact with the Southeastern Conference about joining them. Is this true? They would have said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Until somebody at Texas A&M picked up on those communiques and turned that particular dossier over to the Houston Chronicle. And then the Houston Chronicle said, hey, yo, we got this story. And then it turned out to be true on the quick. Turned out to be true. That's why this is a story. Because we saw this happen with 2 other powerhouses from another Power 5 conference 2 weeks ago. And it turned out to be, I would say, Lonzo, correct or incorrect, arguably the most ground-shaking college football news story of the past 50 years.
See, I would say that's NIL, but after that, for sure. And it's a matter of opinion between what you think is more impactful, but for sure.
I think it's Oklahoma, Texas more than the NIL. But either way, those stories are 1, 2, regardless of which one you think is 1 and 2. And if we'd have told you 4 weeks ago that Texas and Oklahoma had reached out to the SEC about joining their conference, we would have gotten the same reaction that Mark Ryan's getting literally right now. That's why I'm so intrigued in this as a story. Because we would have said the same thing. People would have said, and I bet you that Texas and Oklahoma would have denied what Mark Ryan is saying then, just like Clemson did yesterday.
I think the fact that in either case that there are 2 schools connected, if we would have heard that Texas was going to try to go to the SEC, I would have thought that was definitely a possibility. But when you throw Oklahoma in there, it's like, no. Same with Florida State and Clemson. If you hear that Florida State alone is trying to jump to the SEC, I would have no reason to doubt that. But when you throw Clemson in there, I absolutely doubt it.
Yeah. Look, somebody said earlier in the show, why would Clemson do this? Right? Be harder to get to the championship if they did this.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody. Yeah.
Lonzo said earlier, why would Clemson do this, right? Why would they make it? Same reason Oklahoma did, y'all. Oklahoma's got a pretty good path to the playoffs through the Big 12. That's really easy. But you know why they jumped? Money. Of course they did. And the argument here is
a nice final note there. I just want to point that out. Good job.
Money. Of course they jumped for money. Just like, ladies and gentlemen, for the record, Oklahoma would jump for money. / did. And again, I can't say Oklahoma definitely would have called a report on their reaching out to the SEC false 2 weeks before they did. I'm saying nobody called them out on it, but I bet they would have. Because it would have rocked everything. And that's what happened. I think the timeline got accelerated for Oklahoma and Texas once Texas A&M broke to the Houston Chronicle that conversation was happening. And there was too much evidence at that point to declare otherwise. Now, that's the difference in that situation and this one. Mark Ryan says, hey, I got sources. I got sources that say this happened. But for whatever his reasoning and not disclosing those sources, for whatever his reasoning, he hasn't done so. The Houston Chronicle said, we got the same story, but we got these receipts. And they got theirs from, it appears, Texas A&M. So they're saying we brought receipts to the table to the point Oklahoma and Texas could not go there. If Mark Ryan brings receipts to the table at some point in the near future that says, here it is, then maybe Clemson has to walk this back. Now,
I was going to say to that end, before you, as someone who's been in journalism, is there ever a point where you feel like the only way that you have to reveal a source Is there ever a point where you're like, okay, in order for proof's sake, I have to reveal this source?
Is there that point? Yes. But you know what? We're way late for the break. Let me do this. When we come back, I will put my journalist hat on and reveal to you how that situation works. All right? I will reveal to you how that part it works when we come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo is the question asker du jour. What would it take to burn a source? How does that work in the world of journalism? I'll give you a thought on that when I come back in a minute. Rob, Lonzo, you, it's ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
Our friends at QC Kinetics want you to be able to live your life pain-free. Want you to be able to go through your life without being concerned. I don't know about you guys, I want to be able to bowl and golf and throw a baseball and not have to worry, oh gosh, the next day I'm going to be hurting, y'all. My shoulder, my wrist, my elbow. That's where QC Kinetics comes in. Their non-surgical regenerative therapies will help you be able to go through your day-to-day without the chronic joint pain. Why? Because it helps your body to replenish, rebuild the connective tissue in those joints that goes away over time, that depletes over time, makes those joints rub together. And it stings a little bit, right? Well, they help to regenerate that. They help to rebuild that and train your body on how to create more of it so that that inflammation goes down and that pain goes down. And if you want to learn how it works, it's very simple. Go to QCkinetics.com, QCkinetics.com, QCkinetics.com. All the science is right there. Or call them at 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free. You'll sit down with Dr. Richard Schaefer, MD. You'll have a conversation with him about how the science works. He'll explain it to you. You go in, you get the therapy, you go back to your day-to-day life. That's how the game works. 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that consultation for free. It's our friends at QC Kinetics right here in Greenville. Forgot to eat this morning, and I'm like shaking right now, and it's not great.
I can give you a protein bar if you want.
Do you have one that
I've got other ones in there.
Are you
yeah.
sure? That's not part of your lunch? Because I feel like I am.
Yeah, I was getting ready to eat one, but I
Yeah.
can give you
Well, I
one.
want to make sure you don't. I don't want to.
I'm good.
Preseason FCS All-Americans as Millen makes it onto the first team. The win is tapped to the third team. And note from the Charlotte Hornets, a restricted free agent Devontae Graham is being sent to the New Orleans Pelicans in a sign and trade deal. Graham had a great start to his Charlotte career, but has seen his minutes drop as he lost time to LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Hey, high school football fans, this is Cole Bryson, the voice of the Burns Rebels. The season is fast approaching. Join Jed Blackwell and me for the first Saturday morning scramble starting this Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. as we preview a brand new season of South Carolina high school football. The Saturday morning scramble, powered by Founders Federal Credit Union and Eagles, the official grocery store of the Saturday morning scramble. The Saturday morning scramble. ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM, Group 97.1 FM, Spartanburg.
I lost 46 pounds in 8 weeks with the help of Andrew 400, having tons of energy, not feeling tired or feeling at the end of the day that my feet are dragging. I was very strongly urging that to anybody that feels that he needs to cut down on the weight or he doesn't have enough energy. Absolutely.
That's fantastic, Joe. And congratulations on losing 46 pounds in 8 weeks with the help of Andro 400. Guys, check out Joe's before and after pictures on Andro400.com. Since 2004, men have chosen Andro 400 for one reason: results. Andro 400 can help you safely and effectively lose belly fat, gain energy, and boost your testosterone. We guarantee it. Order today and get free shipping and special discounts. Available only on Andro400.com. Andro400.com. That's Andro400.com.
Thank you again. I feel better already.
Looking for a color change? Ask Sherwin-Williams. We've made it easy to try and buy color. Preview paint colors in your home with our Color Snap app. Then visit swsamples.com to have color chips delivered to your door for free. Or order peel and stick samples to try on your wall. When you're ready to paint, shop online or stop by your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store and get.
I just tried to text one of my Carolina guys. Can you come on and talk Panthers camp? And when I typed in Panthers, my autocorrect changed it to Panties camp. And I'm glad I caught that before I pushed send.
Yeah, that's a totally different place. That is a good question about Clemson basketball on the stream.
Green? Good question.
And if you have the wrong home insurance, you could need a wall of money to fix this. So get home insurance with Allstate and be better protected. For upstate sports junkies.
All right, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. Texter says, although the release was probably approved by the source, what do you think the source's reaction is today/yesterday? So, real quick, I won't spend a ton of time on this because it's not necessarily sports related, but sports journalism is journalism, right? Like sports reporting, this is big business. And college football, just like the NFL, billion-dollar industry. And a story like this, Clemson and FSU potentially reaching out to the SEC about joining, this is the type of story that could lead to the transfer of billions of dollars from one destination to another. Could impact all of you as college football fans, as I would consider it effectively the last nail being placed into college football as we know it today. So, I have had in the past folks who call me and go, Rob Brown, here is a bit of information I want you to know, but I didn't tell you this, or this is off the record, or this is, you can report it, but you didn't get it from me, or I got to remain anonymous. It happens. It happens. And you as a journalist, reporter, and this is the one spot I would tell Mark Ryan yesterday that he was incorrect. The only thing I would tell him is when you put a story out like this, you are breaking a story and you are a reporter, even though we are not reporters by trade. Mark Ryan and I are not journalists or reporters. We are analysts. There's a difference. However, when you put out a story like this, you become a reporter. You are reporting news. You are breaking news that is ground-shattering in college football. That's the position he took yesterday, like it or not. And so the response I have is to those of you who asked a question about sourcing and sources, et cetera. When you are a reporter and someone comes to you and has a scoop for you and says, this is true, but you can't report that you got it from me. You as a reporter have a decision to make. Because if you put the information out there and you say sources say, you have to understand people are going to be skeptical of that. What's the reason you can't give me a source? People are by default going to be skeptical. And you have to decide, is it worth your reputation? Is it worth your name being attached to this story to take that. And I will tell you that in the past, as a journalist, a real journalist, a full-time journalist who actually broke and reported news for 4 years, there were stories from people who came to me and said, here's what's happening, that I didn't run with. And if true, they would have been huge. But I didn't run with, because I couldn't run with that as sources say. I didn't have the information to back it up as true. And there were times that I absolutely ran with the story. I ran with one when I was working as a journalist about my county government back in Okaloosa County that got a lot of kickback, that I ran with sources. But because I had somebody that I considered a trusted source inside of our, if you want to know, county commissioner's office, that came to me and said, hey, man, there's a lawsuit coming down the pipe that could cost Okaloosa taxpayers a lot of money. And I can't talk about it right now, so this is an anonymous thing, but I want you to know what happened. And I went and found and got some more connections and found out it was true and reported it as sources say. Turned out to be accurate. Big story. I don't know Mark Ryan's sources. And I can tell you, Mark would be, because clearly there's a reason he doesn't want to report said sources. If Mark has the sources, irresponsible to tell me what they are. Now, he could tell me as a anonymous source. Mark could say, here are my sources, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody this is where I got this. And trust me not to break him open. Or not. It's his call. And I'm not offended either way, to tell you the truth, as somebody who's been there. When it comes down to it, Mark yesterday acted as a reporter, whether he wants to call himself that or not. He broke a story that if verified down the road, especially now, because here's the fun part. Clemson has now come out and called the story directly false. Called it untrue, which means, therefore, calling Mark and Mark's sources liars.
One of my sources in the building has had contact with someone at Clemson also denying it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that. And I'm going to tell you who my source is. Producer Tim. There we go.
Yeah.
I outed my source.
You did.
Yes. But
now,
he
you burned him.
No, I didn't, because he showed me the interaction between him
Sure.
and a coach. And he was pretty proud of that, because he's a Clemson fan. So he's pretty excited about that. And he also, see, that's the thing. I get, as I said in hour number one, why this is such a big deal and why it's blowing up. I think a lot of it has to do with Clemson fans coming at Mark Ryan. But at the same time, what if this is true? What if this is true? All the people coming at Mark and saying all the things they're saying to him, some of which are quite funny. I'm not going to act like they're not. What if he's right? What if he's right? What if it comes out and this is one of those things that we may never know, but what if it comes to light and you guys are all proven wrong and he's proven right? Are you going to apologize to him?
I am not calling him wrong.
I didn't. I was talking to
the royal you guys.
Yes. I was being general there.
Here's where it gets interesting. If somebody does come out and provide evidence that what Mark said is correct, you know who has a load on their plate to deal with now? Clemson, right? Clemson, because Clemson's called Mark Ryan a liar and called his sources false. Either he's lying or the sources are wrong.
And see, that's the other thing. You talked about Mark putting himself out there. He's absolutely putting himself out there. He could be denied access to availability to certain people and things like that because of this, but he believes in it enough to put it out there and to put his reputation on the line.
Right. And that's why I am interested in following it. Because as we talked about this last week at Media Day, right? Like somebody came to us and said, how come you guys don't ask Dabo about his comments on quitting college ball if the players get paid? And I explained that. And some people think this is a coward's way out and some don't. But here's the reality. We have a responsibility as a local sports talk radio station to cover local sports talk. And I'm talking the Panthers, Clemson, South Carolina, Wofford, Furman, the Triumph, the Drive, the Swamp Rabbits, high schools in the area. We cover all of that. And we have a responsibility to do so. And we have to be careful Scratch that. We don't have to be careful. We have to understand that by reporting on some stories that may be considered false, we threaten our ability to have certain access to these programs. And the bigger the program, the harder it already is to get access, right? The harder it is to already get access. If Mark Ryan believes in this story enough to the point that Clemson has directly responded and said his story is false, he absolutely risks access with those schools. Scratch that. With this school, with Clemson, a school that we have to cover in our area. So it's a big risk that he takes in breaking this story. And it's a big risk that if he is unable to reveal his sources or his sources never come forward, or more importantly, if it is somehow proven that his story was wrong, that's a big risk he's taking, which is why I'm interested in it. But if his story turns out to be correct, if what he's saying turns out to be accurate, then Clemson's got their feet to a fire because now they've said he is wrong. And this story is false. Effectively, either calling him or his sources or both liars. And he gets feet to the fire because of that. And so do they. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, as somebody who is, I don't know, Lonzo, directly connected to this, I had to tell you, it's like a soap opera to me. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. I really am. Because at this point, somebody's lying. And Mark's taking a big risk as a journalist, which he is here.
I disagree with you there.
Okay, fire out.
All right. So, well, no, you said somebody, but it doesn't necessarily have to be Mark, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Clemson. It could be Mark's source lying.
Sure, no, absolutely good.
But
And
if a source comes to you with a story like this, then it's up to you to decide whether you should bring it to light or not. And I don't blame him for bringing it to light, because if true, it's a big deal.
It absolutely is. And this is why, as a journalist, when you have a source come to you with a story like this, you got to be careful. You do. I'll just tell you, as a journalist with his journalist hat on, you got to be careful in how you, because.
All right, I'm going to quote Mark Ryan, who just tweeted something.
Sure.
A Heisman Trophy voter to me just now, the fact that Florida State's president came out with a canned denial makes me even more positive than I was yesterday that your source is correct.
Again, if this comes out, two things have happened. Number one, Mark Ryan has just broken an enormous story. That's every bit on par with Texas and Oklahoma's story being broken 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. And number two, now FSU and Clemson are both lying outright about it. In the grand scheme of things, does that matter? To some people it won't. To some people it will. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm greatly intrigued by it. Greatly intrigued by it. All right, we're off. Let's take a break. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP, ESPN. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Genuinely want your thoughts on all of this. You guys are welcome to call in. We don't censor the calls. Well, I mean, we censor the battle. You know what I mean. Quick break. Back after this on ESPN Upstate.
3.5 minutes.
I'm Christine Lisi, breaking NBA free agency news from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The 76ers signed free agent center Andre Drummond.
Mike's aren't on. You're good.
She's
a radio wife.
They are pretty big, but some people's egos need them. Not me, but yeah, other people. Yeah. But as a radio wife, you probably already know that. So.
There are some that he's worked for before that didn't deserve the job that they had.
It's that way everywhere, but not here because everybody here deserves everything.
We're still deserving.
But no, they went and put their locks in, call him at 2:00 in the morning and said, "Hello." That's what I mean.
No, I get it. I completely get it. I'm not that guy though, so we're good.
Right. In your life.
So, I saw Shogun fights, and I thought it was actually Shogun Warriors, and I'm upset.
That dude is messed up.
Yeah, but I'm still disappointed because I want to see some sword fighting, and I thought how they do reenactments and things. I'm like, oh, cool, but no, it's just an offshoot MMA thing where in between rounds, there's all these people on the ground trying to clean up the blood. That's never a good look. So I feel like I was lied to. See, Shogun fights. I guess maybe I should have known that it was actual fights, but still.
Andre Drummond agrees to deal with the 76ers.
Oh, look, it's Mark Ryan's favorite sport. Been way too nice to him today.
And their source.
A reliable source.
You're home for aquatic water dancing. ESPN Upstate. Hey, say what you want. These chicks are incredible, dude.
I don't know if I would have said it that way, but yeah.
You wouldn't say it that way. They are incredible.
Like, these chicks are incredible, dude.
They are.
That is pretty amazing.
Yes, they're incredible.
We do the equivalent of that every day on this program, though. So
yeah, we do verbal aquatic water dancing. I don't. What's the name of this? It is water dancing, right? Or acrobatic water dancing. There's like a fancy name.
I thought it was synchronized swimming, but it could be.
It's what it used to be, but it's not that anymore.
Yeah, but I'm old, so I can get away with still calling it that. You're probably right. It was supposed to be field hockey. And yes, I was just curious about field hockey and it's not. So
It's
false advertising is what it is, but that's okay. I mean, it's amazing what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Not only be upside down under the water, but
spinning in perfectly timed synchronized circles.
yes.
It's nuts. I can do a handstand in a pool sometimes. It's about the extent of it for me.
Well, it depends on how deep the water is.
These chicks are doing full upside down gymnastics routines and underwater, holding their breath. Whatever. I can't do it. Good on them. Got me beat. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Texter says, Rob, what's the story? I just tuned in. The story we're talking about. Yesterday, Mark Ryan broke the story that he has a couple of sources that have told him that Clemson and FSU reached out to the SEC about joining that conference down the road. And let's just say there has been a bit of controversy surrounding that bit of news and information. First off, speaking of, we mentioned the Big 12 media rights agreement that Texas and Oklahoma had to give 18 months that they will be leaving plus pay a penalty if they were to leave it before it expires in 2025. The ACC's doesn't expire, Lonzo, for 15 more years. 15 years. That's how long they are locked in for at this point. So there's obviously a big question about whether or not that is a viable actual reality for Clemson and FSU if this report was to have happened. And again, the big story is here that Clemson has outright said at this point that report is incorrect, is flat out false, which means that Clemson is calling either Mark or his sources incorrect. Now, Mark tweeted out 10 minutes ago, a Heisman Trophy voter to me just now. The fact that Florida State's president came out with a canned denial makes me even more positive that I was more confident than I was yesterday that your source is correct. Now, maybe. Is rock climbing an Olympic sport? I guess it is.
Yeah, I feel much better about myself now, changing it to rock climbing. Yeah. I want to grunt.
Just go full Tim Taylor.
I almost did. I was so close.
So these guys are like rock climbing, like not even like the little handle things. I mean, you're just flat out. Oh, I can't. No, I got nothing.
I've never had, nor will I ever have the desire to do rock climbing. Although that's not very high.
You know what? I don't
if you
have
can
about rock
jump,
climbing? The ability.
Yeah, well, the fact that they can just jump down the wall is not very high at all. This is like going to the local park for kids. See?
Yeah, except for there's no handles on it. They're all smooth surfaces.
I don't care. Where's the danger?
Those are all smooth. I guarantee.
There's more danger in American Ninja Warrior than there is in this.
You and I aren't getting over the first obstacle. We're not getting over the first one. Guarantee it. There's no handholds there. You got to grip on to nothing.
Diesel could do that without even losing breath.
Not a chance. Not even a chance. All right. So anyway, look, here's what I'm going to say. We are going to get away from this topic and get into some of the other sports stuff. Team USA basketball on to the semifinals. We're going to talk about that coming up in a minute. We've got, what else did I put in my show prep? I completely blanked on the rest of my show prep at this point. What happened with the Panthers? Matt Rule is giving an update on J.C. Horn. Coming up at 2 o'clock, Owen Watterson, who is a friend of ours from Sports Illustrated and allclemson.com, is going to join us on the show to talk about that. I got your Olympic medal count update and more NBA free agency talk. All that coming up in the next hour of the show. But I'm going to wrap it up by saying this. Mark Ryan and his story that he broke yesterday. Like I said, I am skeptical of it. It's not to say I do or do not believe it. I'm just saying as of now, I don't accept it. Not saying it's wrong, just saying I don't accept it. I need more than what's been brought. Only because Clemson and Florida State have now both come out and said that report is false. That report is not true. So I'm intrigued to see what's next. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. And that, I think, is kind of the leave it spot for right now, right? Until somebody else can put something new on the table, that is the leave it spot as far as I'm concerned. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Eagles Mark text line at 71307, 71307. I want your thoughts. Listen, I looked yesterday. This thing had like 28,000 billion tweets and responses. So where are you guys on the show today? Where do you guys stand on it today? Now that we have more information on it, I want your response. What do you think about what's gotten said? Phone lines are open for you. 844-GSP-ESPN. By the way, the Cotton Gin, he tweeted it, so I feel safe saying he's okay with it. The Cotton Gin, which is a bar in 5 Points over in Columbia, who is known for putting funny things up on their marquee on lights in their venue, said, our sources tell us Mark Ryan has bad sources. That's on the freaking marquee. Names and lights, baby. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Owen Watterson joins us at 1 o'clock. Your calls are welcome to wrap up the hour next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Features twice a week financial aid, including the GI Bill, is available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. 5G is here. With the big carriers, what can you sign on pricing, long-term contracts?
It's only like 15 seconds.
Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy.
I like Cam. I don't care. I like Cam.
Unfortunately, he's forcing me to root for him to do well on the Patriots, who I do not like. But I like them a little bit more since someone's no longer there. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back to water dancing. I thought I'd never say that. Maybe I'll go back on the B field hockey. Nope, still water dancing. Feel like it's something that show for men would be watching.
I have breaking news here on the show. Source, you don't have to get the sounder. This is a joke.
So it makes it more effective.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. I'm down to put it on there. I have breaking news. Lonzo has decided that synchronized water dancing is more exciting than rock climbing in the Olympics. He has switched us back to synchronized water dancing over rock climbing. And I got to tell you, I actually think that's the right decision, to be honest. As the Canadians, with a 91.233 preliminary score.
Is she a ginger? I think she might be a ginger. I'm not quite sure.
Are you?
No, the hair is red. I think it's. I'm trying to figure out it because when someone's hair is up, it's hard to tell.
Like a redhead's not allowed in the
No, I just
synchronized water dancing?
I don't believe I've ever in my all my years of watching synchronized water dancing.
Big lifelong fan is
I
Lonzo.
don't think I've ever seen a ginger.
Lifelong fan is Lonzo. Texter says ESPN, the ACC won't survive without Clemson. Clemson won't make the playoffs again in the SEC. Which of those is more true, Lonzo? If Clemson was to move, A, the ACC dies without Clemson, or B, Clemson does not make the playoffs again in the SEC.
I'd have to say the answer to that is yes.
Bravo. I lean towards the ACC doesn't survive without Clemson unless FSU and Miami get it back on track this year.
That is not an either or question.
That's a tough either or question. Really is. All right, Owen Watterson of Sports Illustrated joins us next to talk a little bit about camp, both Carolinas and Clemson starting up on Friday, NBA free agency, and more next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Keegan says it's artistic swimming. Is that what it's called now? Okay. Whatever it is, got to be difficult.
Try to hold your breath as long as they do. You can't do it.
No, I'm not even trying because I'm thinking of Martin Short in the Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah. Ever tried to hold your breath when you go through a tunnel, but then realize once you're in the tunnel that the tunnel's a lot longer than you thought? Or what happens to me, it used to happen to me in the tunnel in Mobile, Alabama all the time, was you hold your breath to go through the tunnel, you get halfway to the tunnel and realize there's a traffic jam that you could not see when you entered the tunnel. But at that point, you're committed to finishing it.
No, I've never held my breath till I passed out. I thought that was an old wives' tale. I guess I was wrong. Okay, phone, just do something. I mean,
Click, click, click.
no, it's not ringing. That's so weird. Or Owen was actually on the other line.
Oh, that's also a possibility. No, I didn't tell him to call. He wouldn't be.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, he picked it up without ringing and he's laughing, listening to me going, nothing's up.
Oh.
Which I hope is what happened. And it's not the phone's nuts. Well, now it's acting like it might do something. Still nothing. No ringing, no nothing. Okay, so I don't know what's going on with the phone.
He just texted me and said that try and call again. I couldn't hear anything. Could have been my end.
I can't hang up. It's just ringing and I can't hang up. I can't switch to another line. Let me get you back on the air. Then I'm going to unplug the phone and plug it back in. Also, you have golf cart in the first break.
Okay.
Oh, it finally stopped.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio, hour number 3. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you, efforting Owen Watterson from Sports Illustrated to get him on the show here in just a second. We're having some issues with our phone line, so we'll try to get Owen in here in just a second from right now. Keep an ear open. We'll get Owen here in just a minute. So, a couple of things that we have talked about today on the broadcast, including NBA free agency, which we are going to get into in just a moment with Owen Watterson. We hope, if we can get our phones working. It has been absolute chaos. Andre Drummond just a few minutes ago agreed to a 1-year deal with the 76ers, averaged 11.9, 10.2 in 21 games with the Lake Show last season after being bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Free agent James Johnson agreed to a 1-year deal with the Nets, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Last year, split time between the Mavs and the Pels before becoming said free agent. Free agent forward Rodney Hood has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Bucks, according to his Adrians and Adrian Wojnarowski. Hood is another perimeter shooter for the Bucks as they attempt to defend their title. The perimeter shooting was a bit of an issue for them in the NBA Finals last year. They really kind of had to rely primarily on Giannis Antetokounmpo and the rest of the gang, Chris Middleton and company, attacking the net. Not a lot of help from the outside, so hopefully they are going to get that help with Rodney Hood. Restricted free agent Bruce Brown signing a 1-year qualifying offer of $4.7 million to come back to the Nets. He becomes an unrestricted free agent next summer. Free agent forward Nemanja Bjelica agreed to a 1-year deal with the Warriors. Rudy Gay, a 2-year deal with the Utah Jazz. Sam Decker returning with the Toronto Raptors coming up in just next year. And free agent guard Spencer Dinwiddie nearing a deal with the Wiz, according to the Wash. Dinwiddie played 3 games last season for the Nets before he tore the ACL in his right knee. So that's where we stand. Other big story, obviously, we have addressed. I'm not going to spend as much time on it today, this hour of the show, but the report from Mark Ryan yesterday that Clemson and Florida State have both reached out to the SEC inquiring about membership. We have heard a lot of discussion in both directions about that. If you guys want to comment on that, you are welcome to do so. We are happy to have you talk about it. I think we've hit our limit on that particular conversation for this hour, but you guys are always welcome to chat.
We'll have our guest on presently. Engineering is working on it.
Lovely. All right. Phone issues. So I'll let him know during the break.
But it is on our end.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. It is what it is. Matt Rule spoke out a little bit about J.C. Horn. I told you guys yesterday, I did a couple of players that have been standing out to me through Panthers camp so far, and it's something I intended on asking Owen Watterson, who will hopefully get in the next segment on the show with us. But Matt Rule, who is still making the transition from college ball to the NFL, Matt Rule spoke about J.C. Horn a little bit, said that the dude has been good, but actually said he's disappointed in one thing so far. He said, quote, JC's grabbing and holding way too much. I love JC's tenacity, but he's got to master his craft along the way, and he knows that, but the ball finds him, and he certainly finds a way to get to the ball. There's no doubt about the things he can do. Like any player, you see the good things, and you've got to focus on the bad things. He's a young player, and he's going to get better and better. When asked about Matt Rule's comments, J.C. Horn said he doesn't want to, quote, overthink it and get me out of my game, end quote, but he did acknowledge that there are things that he needs to work on so that they don't draw penalty flags when the real games start off. He said that won't be all that he is working on in the coming months, but it will be a significant box to check before we get to the regular season. I am intrigued to see how that changes the way that J.C. Horn has been practicing. See if that does change, does impact the way that he has been attacking the practice field so far, which has been with tremendous aggression, to be honest with you, tremendous aggression over the past couple of weeks, to the point that, like I mentioned, we were at practice on Saturday watching, and the dude stood out to me. The dude looked good. He's big. He's physical. He was absolutely flying around the football field and involved in so many plays. I have been incredibly impressed, but it's the one thing that I said as well. It's the one thing that I said as well is what Matt Rule said yesterday, which is, look, he has got to get better about separating without holding, right? He's been, in fact, I noticed that during the Saturday practice when JC was lined up as the number one corner against guys like Robbie Anderson, when those guys come out of the break, JC Horn's natural instinct was to initiate contact, which is fine, but he held that contact just a little bit too long, right? He'd held that contact. If a guy cut on, let's say, a slugger route, right, the slant up and go, if he came out of that second move, JC would grab Jersey and just turn him just a little bit, which you can usually get away with a little easier at the college ranks, but it's tough to get away with that at the NFL ranks. And that's what it felt like was happening. That's what it looked like was happening, was that he was just holding on a little too much. But the good news is, again, dude's a rook, man. Dude's a rook. He is in the learning curve right now. He is in the point in time where he gets to learn about these things. He's in the point where he gets to figure out exactly how it is that you can maneuver, exactly how to use your body positioning to take advantage of wide receivers in a spot like that. I'm not in panic mode. I've seen the dude so far look great. I've seen the dude look really, really good. So I'm unsurprised that Matt Rule said that. I'm unsurprised that Matt Rule had that critique, because that's exactly where J.C. Horn should be in his career. The question is, what does he change over the next couple of weeks, right?
But here's the thing with that. I mean, we've seen this happen with a lot of college players, or some college players, especially at that position when they come into the league. They've gotten away with that so much in their college career that it's so automatic, and it's hard to break someone of that, at least, I mean, real early on in camp. So it's going to take hopefully he can be broken of it, or it's going to end up being a lot of penalties over it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's listen, when you get that deep into your career playing that style of defensive back, where again, it's not easy to get away in the NCAA with it, but it's easier than it is in the NFL. You're going to get that, especially when you're up against the types of wide receivers that are superstars that officials are looking for that coverage, right? You go up against the slant machine, Michael Thomas from New Orleans. That dude's telling the refs going into the game, look, I'm going to be running a slant every third play. I don't want to get held coming out of the slant. Keep an eye on that. And the refs are going to. And that's the kind of guy J.C. Horn's going to be up against.
Michael Thomas, you're going to hold if you can. You're going to do whatever.
You don't have a choice sometimes.
You're going to trip him. You're going to do whatever thing you can do to stop him, and it's still not going to work. But you're right. Those are the kind of guys he's going to be going up against in his own division. So he's got to get better at it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Tampa Bay. with Tom Brady. You know, especially as Brady ages, he loves to throw those quick inside passes, right? You got to be able to defend that without getting the calls. And I'll be intrigued to see if J.C. Horn can change that up about himself before we get there. Mentioned this a little earlier in the show. Wanted to get to it as well. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place. I had scheduled Owen Watterson here. Our super engineer Tony is here in the building helping us to try to get this whole thing figured out so we can get him on the show.
Yeah, Owen's answered the phone 3 or 4 times.
We just can't hear him.
We can't hear him.
He
can't hear us.
Somebody can't hear somebody. Anyway, so Owen, if you can hear me, we're working on it. Try to get him in the next segment. Question, Lonzo. I'm reading through, and Brian Windhorst put up an article on ESPN.com talking about Team USA. And he opened with this line from Saitama, Japan, where the Team USA basketball is now in the semifinals, meaning they're almost assured of a medal at this point, though it is not necessarily the goal. He opens with the line, Lonzo, quote, Kevin Durant's case as the greatest Olympic basketball player ever is growing by the game, end quote. What's your automatic reaction to that?
Well, I can tell you, I saw him say that on Get Up this morning, and I laughed and immediately started talking about, just about every member of the Dream Team. Just about every single member of the Dream Team, except for Christian Laettner.
I would say this. Greatest Olympic basketball player ever?
Would he be the most decorated medal-wise? I don't think so. No. Maybe that's what he means.
If he wins, he would have 3 golds, and there's only one other dude who's done that, Carmelo Anthony.
So that's what he means.
So he made me the most decorated Olympic basketball player, in which case he's in a 2-way tie. But he said the greatest Olympic basketball player ever. And
he said it smugly too,
really
by the way. I don't think he has any other delivery but smug, but yeah, he did say it kind of smugly. So
Windhorst is I gotta tell you, and look, I try not to hate the player. I really don't. Windhorst has turned I went to school with LeBron James into a hell of a career for ESPN, dude.
He has. He absolutely has, without a doubt.
Remember, Windhorst got big because he went to school with LeBron and knew LeBron-ish when LeBron was going through the decision and all that. So ESPN went, oh, here's this guy who knew LeBron and has inside contact. We better pay him. And now all of a sudden, he's getting sent to the Olympics to cover the NBA. He's at the NBA. He turned I know LeBron into a whale of a career.
By the way, if you're watching on the stream, you saw something that you don't see very often, an engineer leaving the room in frustration. So, because our engineers are excellent at figuring things out. So,
Oh, man. All right, 844-477-3776. Oh, yeah, let me finish that talk. We had the whole Kevin Durant thing. I'm just sorry, I got distracted by, hang on, what was the name Keegan said? Artistic swimming.
Yes, artistic
swimming.
Make sure you get it correctly.
Put some respect on it. Artistic swimming. Kevin Durant. Here's where we find ourselves. I am intrigued by calling him the greatest Olympic basketball player ever. Because there's guys in this tournament that are playing better basketball in the Olympics than Kevin Durant. Luka Doncic is dropping almost 30 a game and is taking little bitty Slovenia into the quarters, right? Rudy Gobert is arguably playing more important basketball and better basketball than Kevin Durant. Now, if you wanted to say greatest American Olympic basketball player, you still got to answer the Jordan days, sure. But I would say he's the most important basketball player of this tournament, Lonzo, because he has been pulling out some offensive stops to get the Americans into the semis. And I think without Durant, I don't know if we are where we are right now. And that's as a guy who's not a big KD fan.
Well, me either. And but who else is there? I mean, he is the biggest name on the team. He is the guy that needed to stand to step up, and he is stepping up. I mean, in years past, you've had LeBron, you've had Steph, you've had a bunch of those guys who could take over a game at any time. Who else on that team could conceivably take over a game against a lot of NBA players like some of these European teams have. I think it's pretty much him, isn't it?
Zach LaVine, maybe?
Really?
Maybe. I don't know if they're, I mean, listen, this is his team. All right. This is his team. And he has to be that guy. This is his squad. No doubt about it. Devin Booker maybe could be that guy. Chris Middleton.
See,
maybe
I would say
could be
Devin
that guy.
Booker in the next Olympics.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because
if Durant
he's
went
just
down-
coming into his own, and I don't know if he has the kind of confidence on the international
The
scene to do
dude's a
that.
6-year NBA vet. He's 24, right? Like he's not that. I mean, he's not old, but he's not that young either.
Yeah, but you're just now hearing about him
Yeah,
in the
'cause
way
the
that you're
Suns
hearing about him.
Just now decided to actually build around him. Something I've been screaming about for 3 years. The kid's a stud. If it ain't Durant, it's got to be D-Book. But at the same time, D-Book went away in the finals. The Suns had the Bucks down 2-0 and then lost 4 in a row. I don't know.
If KD for some reason can't play,
It's got to be D-Book.
no. If KD can't play, it's over.
I don't want to believe that, but I don't have a lot of reasons not to. All right, let's take a break, get back on the clock. We are efforting, see if we can get our phones working to get Owen Watterson in here from Sports Illustrated to talk about that and a whole lot more. Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Golf cart.
The 2021 Upstate Golf Card is on sale right this very second. 9 golf courses, 9 rounds of golf, just $99. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. You go to upstategolfcard.com. You get one for you. You get one for your friends, for your family. You take them out. You play a lot of golf, and you do it for not a lot of money. It's just that easy. But supplies are limited, and they will run out. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more, and more importantly, to get yours. You can see out on courses. You can get all the details, and you can get yourself on your way to playing 9 of the best rounds of golf for 9 of the cheapest rounds of golf in your life. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. It's the 2021 Upstate Golf Card. Owen said, had sound the last time. Just heard you in the background. Didn't want to interrupt you on air, but I can hear you.
Here's the problem. If I can't hear him,
Yeah.
then it,
Doesn't matter.
yeah. And the fact that Tony has went back and forth. I did learn one thing, and if I took the phone training, I probably would have known this. We actually have a redial button because I saw him do it. I was like, "That's what that's for." Cool. There's a green button, and he's pushing it. Redials the last number. It's awesome. I always wondered with these brand new phones and technology why they didn't have one of those. Comes down to Lonzo too busy for training because Lonzo's got work to do. So Lonzo don't need no training because Lonzo just figures it out. Like 2 years after the phone training. Huh? I will try it again. So I didn't know that's a redial. Just now learned that. That is what that is, right? Yeah, okay. So if you hit it twice, it will do that? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm sure it was covered in phone training. No, I didn't. I figured so. Sometimes by the time I redial a number, I've had a number strong dial tone. I hear your voice. Oh no, let's not jinx it. All right.
Yeah, don't jinx it. Yes.
Yeah. So we got a couple minutes. Hang on. And hopefully when we go to you, everything will work fine. Power of positive thinking. All right. Hang on. What was it?
I had to reboot the server.
Okay.
But I had to figure out which server you're on because the building's so big. We have two different servers. So I rebooted one, and then I rebooted the wrong one, and I knocked everybody else off until I realized you guys are on the first server, not the second server. So
Beautiful.
yay for everybody.
Well, are we live? We're not live anywhere. So, I mean, it'd have been funny if Charlie was on the air and lost a caller. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we're good.
All right, I'm listening to y'all.
All right. Thanks, Tony. I blame Mark Ryan.
Fair enough.
You're so ready to be back, but we still got a couple minutes. I'm sorry, man.
That's all right.
I've never seen it do where you dial and it just keeps dialing. I mean, even when I tried to hang it up, it was still just,
Yeah.
it's like,
It's really weird.
yeah. You hate to see something go wrong, but when it's something new, it's interesting. And that, by the way, for any of you who are still watching, that's the fun of live radio. Like me doing something I don't normally do and leaving the room, and the look on Rob's face like, where the heck are you going?
Usually if Alonzo gets up and just runs out of the room, something's going on.
Well, I thought it'd be quicker if I just went and grabbed an engineer rather than do an email tag. It's not that I have that kind of gravitas. It's just that, all right, I have that kind of gravitas. That's it. We'll just act like that's what it is. Uh-oh. We got some equestrian jumping.
Ooh.
We're describing what it is.
Refusal at jump. The horse is like, nope. Nope.
You want me to jump that? Oh, how bad would that be if your horse just says no? Well, chances are if your horse says no, you're like looking up from the ground, I'm guessing. Wow. Uh-oh. She knocked down a bar.
But did her horse refuse?
No. Ooh, this is a double. Oh, that's pretty cool. What kind of an athlete do you have to be? If you look at them, they're standing in the saddle the entire time, which you would have to do for a jump, I guess. Now you can put your headphones on.
Oh, can I? All right, I think, question mark, therefore I think we have it figured out. Let's see. To the phone lines we potentially go to maybe welcome in, perhaps from Sports Illustrated, Owen Watterson to talk to us here on the Rob Brown Show. Owen, are you there?
I am, Rob. We finally got it figured out.
Oh, God, be still my beating heart. We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. We have worked through adversity as champions, Owen, are want to do. We have strived through adversity and reached the promised land.
By the way, really quick, because I know he's listening, we really love our engineering department and how quickly and precise they are at getting things done.
Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
I can imagine.
Owen, how you doing, fella?
I'm doing good. You know, Panthers training camp has just started last week. It was I was out there in Spartanburg for most of the days, and you know, watching them without pads is interesting. It's a glorified fundamental session, and even when they go to 11-on-11s, it's on the backside of the field. You can't even really see. And we got Clemson fall camp starts on Friday. I'll be out there at Allen Reeves covering that once it starts. So a lot of big things coming up. You know, the season will roll quickly after fall camp ends on the 19th. We're very, very close to football season.
You know, it's Lonzo and I were talking about this earlier in the day before the show. There's not a Sunday between now and February of next year, not a Sunday remaining that doesn't have NFL football in it. And it's weird because I'm sitting at this past Saturday, Owen, as were you. I'm sitting at at Wofford watching the Panthers practice, and then somebody points out that, hey, Sunday is the Hall of Fame game, and it's football every Sunday for the next 8 months. I don't know about you, but it was just an immediate sigh of relief. Owen, we've made it. We've made it.
Yes, we have, in fact. And I will tell you, as much as I am excited, it does mean that things start to get busy. But that's only a good thing for all those involved in sports media. But yeah, man, I'm really excited to see the Tigers get to practice. And the Panthers have underwhelmed me a little bit, to say the least, and we can get to that a little bit later. But yeah, man, it's rolling around quick. I'll be one of the first tuners into the Hall of Fame game on Sunday. That's for sure.
Love it. All right, let's start with Clemson. Camp starts on Friday. Obviously, you'll be there covering that. Look, we know that Clemson's defense is going to be bringing a lot of guys back, though we did have a defensive back have just a wee bit of trouble, about 115 miles an hour, too much worth of trouble this past weekend. Well, I guess a couple of weekends ago, but got arrested this weekend. As far as the defense coming into camp, what do you expect to see with so many starters running back and the little bit of off-field drama we've had to keep an eye on?
Well, to talk about the good side of things first, I think for any Clemson fan in general, you got to be excited about the defensive line. That'll be one of my beats, and I'm super excited to watch Brian Brzee, second-year guy, Miles Murphy, another second-year guy, who are at the same time All-American candidates beside guys who were injured last year. Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas was in and out of the lineup. Him and KJ Henry, I'm sure, as we get started with fall camp, are going to be going head-to-head for that final defensive end spot. They're not the only ones there that are going to be in the mix for it. Justin Foster just returned, a guy who has a ton of experience. I know Dabo talked about that a little bit at media days. He's going to be, if not as much of an impact on the field, a big impact in the locker room. He's always going to be in guys' ears. And then there's another guy, Kevin Swint, who played a lot of linebacker last year, and they're cross-training him at defensive end. So he's going to be a name to watch. He's a little bit lighter. At I believe around 230, I think weigh-in is going to be Thursday, so I'm not sure any of the weight numbers are quite official yet. But he's pretty fairly light compared to a lot of the other defensive ends. But in certain fronts, Venables likes to do different things and run odd stunts and zone blitzes and things like that. Kevin Swint's going to be a good weapon for them and the versatility that he requires. But I think on the negative side of things with Fred Davis, who you just mentioned with the whole car crash and getting arrested scenario, in some other states, I believe he would have done time for that. So, I'm not 100% sure on all those details. So I'm just thankful everybody involved was okay. But if we're talking about the football aspect of things with Fred Davis and all of this off-field stuff right now, the cornerback room is very, very, very light right now. I think with Fred Davis out of the mix right now, there's only 5 other scholarship corners, with Darion Kendrick leaving, going to the transfer portal, ended up at Georgia. So the corners are going to be a little bit light. Linebackers with Skowski and Spector, there are a ton of guys returning that are going to be good. I think that it can cover for those weaknesses in the secondary for sure. But Dabo said something at media days. I was talking to him one-on-one where they have a lot of younger safeties that may not get playing time on the back end as much, but they're going to use that to help them and try and cross-train some of those guys at corner. From what I'm understood. So that'll be something we can watch play out as fall camp starts. And, you can follow our coverage on allclemson.com. But yeah, man, the defense is going to be exciting regardless of what the secondary looks like.
Owen Watterson is a journalist for allclemson.com and Sports Illustrated. Is going to starting officially today, joining us every Tuesday on the Rob Brown Show to talk all things Clemson, Carolina, and sports betwixt the two states in the area. Offensively, look, obviously, the big question that we have talked over and over about is DJ Uiagalelei and what he is going to be able to do to carry on the legacy from TL16 down in Jacksonville. But I want to ask you about the wide receiver room, because that seems to me, and we've talked about Lynn-J Dixon and the running backs. We've talked about what the offensive line is going to need to do to be able to protect DJ as he kind of picks up the speed of the game in bigger situations than he was in last year. But one group I really haven't heard a lot is who they're going to be throwing the ball specifically to, Owen, and that's obviously coming out of the wide receiver room. What have you heard as we get ready for camp on Friday about that position?
That's a great question, Rob, because I actually talked to Tyler Grisham about this when we were all there, me, you, and Mark Ryan up there at the facility. And I talked to Grisham about this in particular because I'm of the opinion, I'm a lot higher on some of these guys than maybe some others are. Like a JoJo. Only a sophomore, 6'3", 215, had a great showing in the spring game, man. He is physical. He high points the ball extremely well. And I asked Coach Grisham about what it's like managing that room when I legitimately think there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 guys that could be number ones anywhere else in Division I college football. And he gave me a really good quote about making sure that you don't let the food on your plate get cold looking at somebody else's, right? That there's a ton of competition. These guys really love being in the room together. They all encourage each other. So I don't think there's going to be too much conflict as far as playing time goes. I think every single one of these guys is ready to step up when their name is called. But when you just look at the injuries that they had last year with Frank Latson, Joseph Ngata, if Grisham would have known that before the season started last year, he might have had a heart attack knowing 2 of those guys were going to be out. And now he's got both of those dudes returning along with Justin Ross, who I didn't even mention was out last season, who I think I said this last week. We don't know 100% what his status is going to be when we're out there on Friday. So we'll see about that. And I'm sure everybody's going to be updated as soon as the media knows. But then again, Joe is a guy I like a lot. Even the freshmen, Bo and Dakari Collins, they're very high on. They were early enrollees, came in spring and impressed. Will Shipley, who's a running back, not a receiver, I feel like, because of the depth in the running back room, is going to get some maybe slot receiver type action, maybe some routes out into the flat as a safety valve for Mr. Uyunglele, who we just spoke about. But man, the receiving room is extremely, extremely talented. EJ Williams, the last of the bunch, who I haven't even mentioned yet, had that great catch in the ACC championship game against Notre Dame last year. And really, we just saw what he was capable of. He's 6'3", probably needs to put on a little bit of weight, but he's fast as lightning, and the coaches are very high on him. So if you're not high on the Clemson receiving unit, you need to be, because you're going to start hearing about it as soon as fall camp starts, I promise you.
We are talking to Owen Watterson of allclemson.com and Sports Illustrated, but he also covers all things Charlotte sports as well. I want to jump into Carolina. A couple of things. First off, we talked earlier, Matt Rule has put out some comments about J.C. Horn. Said dude is basically a ball magnet. He is a ball hawk. He finds ways to be in the right place at the right time, but said he needs to work on his holding. Said he grabs too much. There's too much of receivers getting his hips crossed up, and he's having to hang on to them in order to make up for that distance. Have you seen, I said after seeing him on Saturday that I think J.C. Horn is very close to being a breakout player. And I think he's going to be one reason this Carolina defense is going to easily finish inside the top 10 defenses in the league this year. But that's likely the first and biggest criticism I've heard from him so far. Your thoughts on A, J.C. Horn, and B, what you've seen out of Carolina's defense so far? Because I got to tell you, Owen, they've looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, J.C. Horn, we can start there, man. J.C. Horn, he's a dog, and I think a lot of the reasons he uses his hands and has gotten that negative against him so far is because of how well he prides himself in playing press coverage. I think that has a little bit to do with it. In my opinion, a lot of that is South Carolina manning up and playing press against almost every team's SEC best receiver. But he's still got a lot to learn. He was talking post-practice, and I spent a lot of time on Friday, I believe it was, actually focusing on that DB group because they were on the closer side of the field. I got a good look. I could hear DB coach Evan Cooper talking to those guys specifically about adjustments. And one of the things I got out of it is that J.C. Horn, when he played at South Carolina, his entire career that he spent most of it in the half turn, which it to my knowledge is supposed to keep out receivers from gaining outside leverage easier. You play a little bit off sometimes in that method, but in the NFL, trying to keep full vision on the quarterback, they play in the pedal a lot, which is the back pedal that you see a lot of NFL corners do. And that's just not something J.C. Horn is completely adjusted to yet, from my understanding, and just hearing Evan Cooper and Matt Rule talk about both of those guys. So it's going to be an adjustment still for J.C. He's got a lot to do, but the physical attributes that dude has, the speed, the toughness, it's all going to translate, and he's got the mentality. You know, he grew up around Joe Horn, I believe was a wide receiver for the Saints, and you know he's been around this. He knew it was going to be training and adjustment, and I expect him to make that. In terms of the defense overall, man, the defensive line, in the same light that I just spoke about Clemson, they look really good. I was worried about the depth a little bit. I spoke with Lena Getzenberg, who works for the Charlotte Observer, about this a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about how we were pretty sure the top-heavy depth was going to carry this defense throughout the next season, but we were a little worried about how the rotations were going to look with guys like Bravion Bravion Roy, Davion Nix, who they just drafted late round last year that they're really, really high on. I think Coach Rule just gave some high comments to him earlier in the day, if I'm not mistaken. But the defensive line looks good. The depth looks good. I've seen them line up in 3-4 and 4-3 fronts, and they all look really, really good. Both Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick have been cross-training with the going to and from linebacker and defensive line drills. Morgan Fox is a dude that he fits as an edge on a 4-3 fit, as well as the defensive tackle in the 3-4, man. They have versatility, and that's where they started and made their priority when Matt Rule came in here. And you can kind of see the fruition of that, investment starting to come to light. And I think you'll see it this year, just like you said.
We are talking to Owen Watterson of Sports Illustrated, allclemson.com. It also covers all the sports out of Charlotte. And last one, Owen, then we'll cut you loose. I wanted to address Sam Darnold. Let me tell you what I saw, and then I want you to tell me what your feelings are. I was there on Saturday. I watched a little bit of the film from today's practice in pads, first practice in pads. When I watched Sam Darnold, it's funny enough because Lonzo shared with me earlier some video that came out of Patriots camp with Cam Newton, right? And Cam was in the middle of the team, and he's talking and he's pointing and he's organizing. He's also hamming it up with the fans there and playing with them on the sideline. I watched Sam Darnold 180 degrees the opposite direction, 180 degrees. The dude seemed to be by himself. I didn't really see him orchestrating the offense, especially during the 11-on-11s. It wasn't really like he was talking with other guys. When he was walking on the sideline, the fans are kind of, not that this is the end-all, be-all of what a quarterback should do, but he just seemed very independent, standoffish, kind of by himself. Is that just Sam Darnold and we need to let it go and just let the guy be a quarterback? Or is that, as Lonzo asked me, the attitude of the guy that is the quarterback of a team that I expect to be around the 500 mark this year?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both personally, especially trying to compare him to Cam Newton. And I'll touch on him for a second, especially watching all those years of him with the Panthers in training camp, the energy, obviously different coaching staff. It's hard to compare, but there was a completely different energy. And I think it's hard to compare those two guys because Cam is full of such natural charisma. He wants to interact with people. He wants to be that guy in the huddle. And guys just kind of gravitate towards that. I don't get the vibe that Sam Darnold has that. And I'm trying to give the guy some slack here. I don't want to say he doesn't have charisma by any means, but he is so new into this system. He's got a whole new offense to learn after learning. God knows what Adam Gase taught him in New York. You know what I mean? He's got a lot to learn, and I think Matt Rule challenged him at the beginning of training camp to not worry about becoming this big vocal leader in the locker room, which at first sounded funny, but they have enough leaders in that locker room, which was really what Matt Rule was trying to allude to. He wants Sam Darnold to worry about being the first on the field, put his work first, and then the leadership will come from other guys seeing him work. And, the returns have been, what's the best way to say this? Mixed so far. I mean, we've seen good things from Sam Darnold, especially in one-on-ones, throwing the deep ball, but in 11-on-11s, when he's got defensive line pressure coming after him, it really hasn't looked good. A lot of short throws, some missed throws for sure, some drops, some interceptions. So, man, it's just a wait-and-see game for Sam Darnold at this point. I think preseason will tell a lot of what he's capable of because, if I'm being honest with you, I don't know if I've been able to decipher if a lot of Sam Darnold's bad play is due to how simply awful the left tackle position is right now. And the defensive line is just getting pressure because almost all three of those quarterbacks are having to scramble in any 11-on-11 drills when the D-line gets pressure. It's a little ridiculous. So I think the offensive line that he's working with right now has a little bit to do with his performance. But, again, it's just a wait-and-see game. I think he's got what it takes. I like the deep ball he throws for sure. There was one particular pass on Thursday. It was one of the first days of practice where a one-on-one, he dropped it right in the breadbasket in the short, shallow end zone to David Moore. David Moore dropped it, but beautiful throw on the run, hit him right in stride. So he's got what it takes, but it's going to take a minute to decide whether he's got what it takes long-term or not.
Owen Watterson is a journalist for Sports Illustrated. You can find his stuff on Clemson at allclemson.com. You can also find him on the Queen City Collective where he covers all things Charlotte sports as well. My man, Owen, I'm glad we got you on board as a weekly contributor. Next week, our phones will work and we'll have you on time.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not, but I'm being optimistic.
Yeah, I'm with Zoe there. I was about to say, are you sure? You want to promise me that a week ahead of time? I guess we'll see.
I'll text you on Monday.
All right, man. I appreciate the time as always, Rob. I'll talk to you next
You
week.
got it, big fellow. That's Owen Watterson. Again, you can follow him on Twitter as well. On Twitter, he goes at O Watterson, WATTERSONSI, at O Watterson SI. Make sure you follow him there. Quick break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Have to tinkle. What's up, dude?
What can I remember to bring?
Let me turn on.
Hey, show's almost over.
Keegan said you ought to do a fantasy football segment for everyone drafting their teams coming up. And by everyone, I mean me. I think Keegan says that like he doesn't have my number to just text me.
I think I would play it if we were on the air. It's a trap because he just wants you to do poorly at it on the air so he can blame you for all
That
the.
wouldn't be the first thing
Yeah.
that happened.
Well, listen to Rob and look what happened. Look at all the money I lost. I have a question for you. Have you ever went to management and go, what's that mean? Why would you say that? Or do you think I can't read? Is that why you're saying that? Is that why you wrote that liner? You didn't write that liner, did you? Okay.
I don't write any lines.
I just want to make
I don't know
sure.
what kind of authority you think I have
I just don't
around
want
here,
to.
but
Well,
that ain't it.
well, I consider you a creative person who might actually, thought.
Wait, which one played?
Rob can read, at least he
Yeah,
says.
no.
Yeah, I think I would be defensive about
There's
that.
also the quick a hipster bring him a micro
Now
brew.
that one I completely get, but the reading thing, I would, if I were you, I would go into the office after the show with a large book and just sit down in that chair across from Hendrix.
Just start reading?
Just start reading aloud.
That liner has been running since literally before I started working here.
Yeah, I know.
So it's a little late to be offended by it now. You know, boss, I've been listening to this liner for the last 18 months. I feel like something needs to be done here. All right. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN.
You're no fun, by the way. You should do it. You should go in there and sit down and read. You should do it.
Just start reading to him and not tell him why I'm doing it.
Someone's got a copy of War and Peace out there that they can lend to you, or Moby Dick.
Texter says, ESPN, have you watched the Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart? My name is Ishmael. Have you watched the Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart Olympics show on Peacock? By far the most entertaining part of the Olympics so far.
Did you try to go Sean Connery doing that? Is that what?
Call me Ishmael.
Okay.
James Bond says.
All right. That's a little bit better.
I don't have a Sean
So
Connery.
now you got to go sit in the office and read as Sean Connery.
I have not watched the Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart Olympics show, but it is on the list because I bet it's hilarious. We watched Snoop Dogg call color on the Roy Jones-Mike Tyson boxing match, and it was the best part of that show. Easily best part of that show. I may check it out. In fact, I may watch it after the
Are
show
they
today.
both?
Yes.
Okay.
How else would Snoop do
Yeah.
TV?
Well, I've seen appearances where he seemed to be grounded, so to speak.
Grounded.
Which is the opposite of what he normally
That's
is.
just normal for Snoop now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just baseline for
Well,
Snoop.
what would you say the opposite of high is? Grounded.
Not high? Sober?
Yeah,
Not
but
high?
I think sober really only applies to alcohol. So I'm going to go with grounded.
All right, fair enough. No, I'm absolutely watching it. Absolutely watching it. All right, Twitter trending topics. When we come back, my name is Rob. He's Lonzo. We had to kill off a segment. There you have it. By the way, we will do a fantasy football draft special coming up probably Friday. I'll have some thoughts for you. I know Lonzo's excited. He's here for it. Twitter trending topics when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Jennifer Kuczynski on ESPN Upstate, currently at 74.
The Upstate loves grassroots racing. If you do, catch PRN's At the Track on ESPN Upstate Saturday mornings at 7:30. You'll hear from the drivers and personalities at tracks like Anderson, Cherokee, Greenville, Pickens, Lawrence County, Travelers, Smart tracks on Paso Kingdom, Sugarton, Outback, Warrior Creek, and Foothill. That's PRN's At the Track, 7:30 Saturday mornings right here on ESPN Upstate.
research, 82% of people remember radio ads. That means that 82% of you listening right now will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. If you're hiring, 82% of you will recall that ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And 82% of you will note that you can try ZipRecruiter for free today. But you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Like this ad plays. 82% of you will keep in mind that ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified people for your job and actively invites them to apply. 82% of you will also know that I live with my mom. But the most important thing to know is that ZipRecruiter works. In fact,
Somebody just texted me that with these glasses and this hat, I look like a grown-up version of Squints.
I know I should know who that is, but
Not Squints. Squints is from the Sandlot.
I figured it was Sandlot. I know who it is. You don't need to show me. I don't see it.
Hang on.
I just looked up and there was Tom Brady.
I feel.
All right. So I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It's a good thing the inside of your hat isn't green.
Wait, I gotta look this way for it to match up. Wait, but
Your mouth needs to be slightly agape. There you go.
wait. I gotta go. Full
Your mouth
screen.
needs to be agape, like Mark Ryan said. What? Still, I don't understand man buns and why any dude would go, you know what? I bet that'll look good if I did that. I don't get it. I realize my hair's long enough for such a thing, but I didn't know why. It's gotta be a girlfriend or wife thing going, you look really sexy if you put your hair up like this. There are a bunch of man buns on the screen right now for Spain.
España.
Then Monzo was relegated to the kids' table at Thanksgiving. Just over here in the small frame. Wow. Rob is in the large frame. And I get your point. Now it has.
Let's see. What are all the options here? We have full. Oh, that doesn't help. Oh, so we have big and small, side by side, or too much.
A lot
Those
of
are your options.
Yeah, a lot of those. Until you have 3 to 4 people on the screen, you really don't see how they work that much. But when you have 4 people, I've found someone gets stuck behind the logo.
That was exactly what I was doing there, Joe. I don't know why you're screenshotting like it would embarrass me. I literally screenshotted it. It's currently on my Facebook.
It's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending and he regales us all with his vast knowledge as a haughty intellectual. That's how that works.
I am what I am.
Do you realize that we spent the majority of this show talking about Mark Ryan? I just want to point that out. We spent and you know what? We're not the only ones doing that.
Is he trending on Twitter by chance?
He is around here, but that's not where we're going. I just wanted to mention that, and need a shower.
Hey, look, I'm going to give him credit. He broke a story yesterday that became the talk of sports radio literally everywhere. Every national site I went to this morning had his tweet up on the front page as a source for a story.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Some people are trying to act like we're jealous. No, that's a teammate. We hope our teammate is doing well.
Now, that being said, I am going to address it openly and honestly the same way I would if it was anybody else's tweet from any other radio station or newspaper. I'm going to address it as analytically as I would if it was Barrett Saleh or Clay Travis or anybody else that said something about it.
Without fear of repercussions.
Yeah. I'm going to address it with the same analytical perspective that I would if it was somebody I don't know. And Mark knows that, right? I don't think I've said anything that Mark Ryan would go, Rob, I can't believe you said that on air. As I said.
And if Mark wants to know what Rob said, he should go to our website and check out, the podcast, which
we podcast every hour, every day.
We do. Let's actually get to something that is trending, not Mark Ryan. I know I brought that up,
Sure.
but all right, Joe Judge is trending right now.
Oh, I can't believe we didn't even get to this story today. Because I blame Mark Ryan, David.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
So the New York Giants today had a huge fight at practice, like a team-wide fight that ended in a huge dog pile under which Danny Dimes was trapped.
Help me.
Danny Dimes was lodged under the entire New York Giants team that was fighting on top of the starting quarterback. Joe Judge got furious, ranted at his team, and then Lonzo, and my favorite NFL story of the day, made his team run wind sprints like they were a high school team. Joe Judge, good luck, dog. Good luck.
I'm curious, did Danny Dimes also have to run those wind sprints? I hope so, because, as a team, everybody's got to run. That's how that works.
What the worst punishment was when you were in high school was not the team having to run wind sprints. It's the guy who made the mistake getting to sit on the sideline and drink water while the rest of the team ran wind sprints.
My favorite. Reitzel didn't run fast enough. Y'all got 10 more.
Yep. Mine was.
Even though Reitzel was winning every single time.
Brown, sit on the sideline and drink water while you watch the rest of the team win wind sprints since you dropped that pass.
If you didn't like anything we said today, I have one thing to say to you.
Speaking of Mark Ryan, Offsides comes up next. Sources tell me Offsides is up next with Mark Ryan and Diesel, who, by the way, is here as well. Right there. I can see him. That is verifiable.
It is. That's him right there.
Him right
I
there.
see him too. Yeah,
In
he's
flannel.
over there. That's two confirmed sources that we saw him.
Enjoy the next 4 hours. Lonzo and I are back tomorrow to try it all over again on a Wednesday. Greenville Triumph Wednesday. See you tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. Later.